Good morning, everybody. I'll call the meeting to order. This is a special council meeting of Tuesday, August 29th, 2023, commencing at 10 a.m. Looking for an adoption of the agenda. Deputy Mayor Richardson, Councillor Warren, all in favor? And that's passed. Item 4, we are here to repeal the official plan amendment, OPA, adopting bylaws, housekeeping matters arising out of Ontario Land Tribunal, OLT, orders pertaining to the City of Kawartha Lakes official plan appeals and related appeals, OLT 22-002091, formerly PL 210217 AL. Is there any disclosures of pecuniary interest with anything on the agenda today? Seeing none, should any arise during the course of the meeting, please advise the chair and we'll deal with them accordingly. Now going to move into the public meeting portion. And as required under the Planning Act, a public meeting is being held prior to council making a resolution on Report Plan 2023-040, being the repeal of official plans for Lindsay and Fenelon Falls. The purpose of this public meeting is to allow council to gather information on Report Plan 2023-040, to hear those wishing to make oral submissions on Report Plan 2023-040, and to allow council to ask questions of interested parties and staff. Everyone who makes a presentation at this meeting is requested to state their name for the public record. In the interest of time, council respectfully asks that you keep your presentation to no more than 5 minutes. When called, please either unmute yourself and turn on your video, or come to the podium and press the speak button to activate the microphone. Could staff please provide an overview of Report Plan 2023-040, being the repeal of the official plans for Lindsay and Fenelon Falls? And I will reiterate, the purpose of this meeting is to repeal the official plans for Lindsay and Fenelon Falls. Ms. Barry, I believe you're up. Technology is wonderful.
How does that sound? I think a few logistical matters to kick things off. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council, to those in attendance from the public, and those attending virtually. We appreciate the opportunity to host this public meeting this morning. Our objective through this public meeting is to provide council with the necessary information to effect what is essentially an administrative matter of a housekeeping nature. It's the repeal of 2 very long-standing local official plans in the city. The first being the Village of Fenelon Falls official plan, and of course the other being the Town of Lindsay official plan. For the most part, I'll be referring to the local official plans as just that, without sort of referring to them by their formal names. So I've been closely involved with this matter since arriving at the city in the fall of 2017, where one of my first tasks, back then at least, was reviewing recent secondary plan appeal submissions to the Ontario Municipal Board, then LPAT, and now, of course, the Tribunal. Today, we're actually at quite a milestone in the city's official plan and secondary plan appeals proceedings. About 8 years in the case of Fenelon Falls secondary plan, and 6 years in the case of the Lindsay secondary plan. The appeals have been resolved or otherwise dealt with, and the local official plans can now be replaced by these secondary plans, as was council's intention in approving the secondary plans in the first place. So council's intention to have the local official plans transition to secondary plans was very clear through language in the city's official plan. It's Section 31 and the associated statutory public process that led to council's approval of the secondary plans. So for many years, those local official plans provided a land use policy framework to guide development in their respective communities. In fact, for 23 years in Lindsay since 2000 and 35 years in Fenelon Falls since 1988. The local official plans no longer serve their purpose. They need to be repealed to provide a single, clear land use policy framework for future development in Lindsay and Fenelon Falls that conforms to current policies at both a provincial and a municipal policy level. If the local official plans were to remain in effect, there would be two separate planning regimes in effect for the same area at the same time. Planning is complex enough these days. We do not need to add this unnecessary level of complexity to the mix. So we prepared staff report, Plan 2023-40, to summarize how we got here, where we need to go next. We have prepared two bylaws to repeal the local official plans for council's consideration following this public meeting, provided you've been given the information that you need to do this. It does include, of course, receiving any public submissions today as well. To that end, we issued notice of this public meeting in Kawartha Lakes this week's Municipal Bulletin, the August 3rd edition. We did receive a handful of calls that centered primarily on the status of the secondary plans, not concerns or objections to the purpose of this meeting, as our mayor pointed out, that being the repeal of the local official plans. We didn't receive any submissions from any commenting agencies or from city departments. So taking a look at our staff report, it sort of covers 5 main areas. First, the background to the requested repeals, pages 2 to 3 of the report. So that would include the purpose of the secondary plans, their purpose to provide a long-term vision for guidance and direction in the management of land and the environment within the urban settlement areas. Also, council motions approving those secondary plans in 2015 and 2017, and that through those approvals, their predecessor local official plans were not repealed. The second part of the report goes into the rationale for the requested repeals on pages 3 to 4. That includes the tribunal's approach to having the modified Lindsay secondary plan take effect only after the local official plan's repeal is granted by the minister. Next, that the tribunal no longer has jurisdiction over the Fenelon Falls secondary plan, since it's coming into force as of July 31st by virtue of withdrawal of its associated appeals. Just a quick sidebar, the tribunal notified the city of this withdrawal and their subsequent closing of their file on the Fenelon Falls secondary plan appeal on August 4th, a day after our notice was published in the paper. Prior to the withdrawal of the appeal, and as was notified in that notice in the paper, it was anticipated that once the tribunal rendered a decision in the appeal proceedings pertaining to the Fenelon Falls secondary plan, that the local official plan for Fenelon Falls would be replaced with the tribunal-approved Fenelon Falls secondary plan, much like what is being done with Lindsay. So, returning to the staff report, the third section is a summary of policy conformity and zoning bylaw compliance, pages 4 to 5 of the report. So that would include the secondary plans certainly being in conformity with a number of key provincial and local priorities that we see set through the provincial policy statement, through the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe, and of course through the city's official plan. Regarding the zoning perspective, that once the secondary plans are all in effect, the next phase of the city's comprehensive zoning bylaw consolidation project would be launched with the development of a new comprehensive zoning bylaw for the city's 4 urban areas, Bobcaygeon, Fenelon Falls, Lindsay, and Omemee. We move on to sort of concluding in the report, indicating how the repeals align with the city's strategic priorities on page 5, that being primarily of good government and taking care of this housekeeping matter today. Beyond the repeals of the local official plans, the secondary plans themselves provide a framework to achieve all of the remaining strategic priorities, those being a healthy environment, an exceptional quality of life, and, of course, a vibrant and growing economy. Finally, the financial and operational impacts, if council were not to repeal the local official plans, and I'll emphasize an earlier point, if council decides not to repeal the local official plan for Lindsay, the tribunal-approved Lindsay secondary plan will not come into effect. If council decides not to repeal the local official plan for Fenelon Falls, it remains in effect, as well as the Fenelon Falls secondary plan at the same time, because it is currently in effect. So of course, this could lead to a lack of clarity over which policy applies to new development applications. Conflicts could arise. Conflicts could lead to further appeals at the tribunal. So to us, of course, it just makes sense to take this next step with adopting the repeal bylaws. So let me spend a minute just talking about those bylaws themselves. The repeal bylaws appended to the staff report contain a series of recitals. We prepared those to clearly outline the planning instruments, chronology, and rationale for their repeals from sort of two perspectives, the historical perspective, and then, of course, the present day scenario. So historically, those repeal bylaws cover the preparation and adoption of the local official plans by their respective lower tier councils in 1988 and in 2000, onto Victoria County approvals and onto OMB orders, even back then, through then amalgamation in 2001 to the preparation of the city's official plan in 2010 and the minister's approval of that official plan in 2012 and its appeal proceedings and subsequent tribunal orders after that. Then, of course, the preparation and approval of the secondary plans through 2015 and 2017 and their appeal proceedings as well. Now, present day, the bylaws to repeal the official plans cover three main areas: the coming into force of the Fenelon Falls secondary plan by virtue of the withdrawal of its appeal, leaving both, of course, the Fenelon Falls official plan and now the Fenelon Falls secondary plan in effect at the same time. Of course, this is a scenario we want to eliminate. The delay of the coming into force of the modified Lindsay secondary plan by virtue of the tribunal withholding its final order pending a final decision by the minister on repeal of the Lindsay official plan, and that avoids having both the local official plan for Lindsay and the secondary plan in effect at the same time. Notwithstanding the status of the secondary plans, the minister's approval is needed for the repeals to be final. The statutory public process for this matter is being adhered to. Finally, that council considers the repeals to be appropriate. Council's decision to repeal the local official plans is not subject to appeal. Council's decision to repeal the local official plans will be forwarded to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing for a final decision. The minister's approval of the repeals is also not subject to appeal. We consulted with our internal and external legal teams, with staff at the province, in determining the need for council's repeal of the local official plans today, and agree that under all of the circumstances presented here, presented through our staff report, that the repeals are substantially an administrative housekeeping matter, and in the case of the Lindsay secondary plan, brings a long-standing appeal to its conclusion, which we are delighted about. So we agree the repeals of the local official plans are appropriate, they are necessary, and we recommend that council adopt the bylaws to repeal the local official plans for Lindsay and Fenelon Falls. That concludes my comments for this presentation. Of course, no presentation slideshow today, no bells and whistles, so to speak, because again, I couldn't underscore the importance here that the repeal of the official plans that we're asking council to consider really is just a housekeeping matter. So I thank you for your attention, and I'm available to address questions.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. At this stage, does council have any questions of staff? And I have Councillor Warren.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks for your presentation. So is it pretty much a sure thing when it does go to the minister that it will be approved?
Thank you for the question. I think understand well that nothing is a sure thing, of course, but we are confident that the minister's office, the minister himself, has a strong interest in seeing this matter resolved, and that is sort of entirely left in that office's hands, that they are expecting a decision of council to make its way to them, and are quite interested in having the appeals come to an end.
Councillor Smeaton.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I was just going to say, before all sorts of conversations convolute things and we get caught in a quagmire, just two quick questions that are the point. Piggybacking on Councillor Warren, this is forwarded to the minister regardless?
The decision to repeal the official plans is what gets forwarded. That's all.
And his decision is final regardless. So once that decision is made, that's it. That's a final decision. And anybody watching Minister Clark and Minister Ford last week at AMO, like I was able to do, can clearly see that I encourage people to look into who their government are and what their agendas are right now, and as best they can. And I think really this is a pretty signed, sealed, delivered situation. Thanks.
Thank you. Just one question, perhaps. It's been 10 plus years we've been going through this, and hopefully everybody who wished to has had a chance to weigh in on it. And I just want to be clear that as this process goes forward, we don't have any say in the adoption of the secondary plan. It'll be the LPAT that stamps and seals that secondary plan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the question. The Lindsay secondary plan has been, so to speak, stamped and sealed. It is approved by the tribunal with modifications, so that matter is closed. It will only come into force on the repeal of the Lindsay official plan. So this council has no further dealings with the Lindsay secondary plan, and more simply, it also has no more dealings with the Fenelon Falls secondary plan because it is now in force and effect by virtue of that last withdrawal at the end of July, of withdrawal of appeal.
Thank you. Any other questions from council? Seeing none. We'll move on. Does anyone wish to speak to report plan 2023-040? I have one speaker, Mr. Ryan Windle. Would you please approach the podium, and you have 5 minutes.
All right, the red light is on. Good morning. I appreciate being here. It's been quite some time since I've been in a council chamber in person, having been a long-time planner on the municipal side. So it's nice to be here in person. Good morning, Mr. Mayor, members of council, members of staff. My name is Ryan Windle. I'm the VP of Land Development and Planning for DeGram Developments. We operate in Fenelon Falls as Tor Construction, Inc. We own lands in the Fenelon Falls secondary plan area. Those lands are at County Road 121 and Sturgeon Point Road. I think they were known as Fenelon Trails previously, so you're probably familiar with the area and the land holdings. We are here to say today that we definitely support the administrative action before council today. As Leah has pointed out, the Fenelon Falls secondary plan is in force and effect. We appreciate that, but certainly by repealing the old OP, it clarifies the planning regime, and that paves the way for us to consider the future development of our properties. We are excited again about the Fenelon Falls secondary plan. We are in the process of preparing applications for development. We are deeply into that process. We anticipate making those applications 30 to 60 days from now, hopefully. So we're here again to say that we support the administrative action before council today, and we look forward to working with the municipality going forward on our applications now that the secondary plan has been clarified through the appeals process. And that's it for me. I do thank you for your time. I will say I want to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Hawley and Ms. Berry. They've been very helpful so far in our process. We're going to look for their assistance as we go forward in the process. And you'll likely see myself and our consulting team in a number of coming months as we prepare and submit our applications and council begins to deal with those considerations. So thank you very much for having me this morning.
Thank you. If you'd stay there for a minute, just in case council has any questions of you. Are there any questions from council? Seeing none, thank you very much for coming this morning. Mr. Johnson, did you care to speak or not?
There we go. Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to address council and staff. I would like to endorse very much the repeal that you're being asked to adopt. I spent 40 years in municipal service and had the occasion to deal with documents that were duplicate, one on top of the other, which if you thought life was hell with one document, try amending both documents about the same subject and have to deal with different components. So I very much encourage you to adopt the repeal. I also want to say that Mr. Webster, who has some land in the Fenelon Falls area, is anxious to see the results of the comprehensive municipal study and hopefully move forward with an application as well. I am encouraged by what I've been told in terms of where council and staff may wish to go, and I look forward to working with staff and council towards the development of a rather exciting project in Fenelon Falls. And again, I urge you to adopt the repeal of the documents, because all that you're looking for is headaches if you don't. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Are there any questions of the deputy?
Thank you.
Seeing none, thank you. So I'll ask again, are there any speakers who wish to address council and staff on this matter? And for the third and last time, are there any speakers who wish to address council and staff on this matter? Do staff wish to respond to any of the observations that were made?
No, I think we're fine. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no more, the public meeting on this matter has been concluded. So, council, after considering all the comments provided today, what is your wish? Deputy Mayor Richardson.
Thank you, and through you. At this time, I would like to move as printed. I think somebody's got echo on here. Oh. Yeah. Yeah.
Seconded by Council Warren. Did you wish to speak?
Thank you, and absolutely, I appreciate staff's time putting this appeal together and the comments that are being made by the public. It's good news. It's proper land use planning, and it's going to help us move forward quicker. So I'm in full support of this report. Thank you.
Councilor Warren, did you wish to speak to it?
Deputy Mayor Richardson really hit the points, and this has been going on a long, long time, and I look forward to moving forward with some of the development that's being installed. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ashmore.
Thank you. Just a quick question through you too, Ms. Barry. As far as the Peel Avenue for developers, applicants, could you, I know you touched on it in your presentation, but does that leave it basically to the OLT, or what's the mechanism that, for whatever reason, that a specific application would be appealed? So is the process, could you sort of explain that, how, what the remedy is for an applicant after this is passed?
What we're doing here, Councillor, is repealing the official plans. So there's been 10 years when appeals have gone forward to the OLT. All we're doing here is repealing the official plans. So they, and you've heard from the public that, and others who had appeals already weighed in. So I think you're referring to the secondary plans and the appeals, and that's with the LPAT. But Ms. Barry, if you choose to respond, I'm happy to hear it.
Sure, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Through to Councillor Ashmore, the exact same rules apply under the Ontario Land Tribunal legislation and, of course, under the Planning Act. So, of course, today's proceedings are not appealable decisions made out of council today, nor are the subsequent minister's decision. Though you did make that clear that your question perhaps pertains to applications that follow, it would be exactly the same process as has been the case up to now. If a decision is made by an approval authority that somebody objects to, they have the opportunity to file an appeal according to that legislation. No changes there.
Do you want me to read the motion, or you want the motion read? Of course you do. Make the old guy work, eh? That the report plan 2023-040, repeal of official plans for Lindsay and Fenelon Falls, be received. That in accordance with section 17 and 21 of the Planning Act, Council, having considered the matters, deem no further public notice to be necessary. That a bylaw to repeal the official plan of the town of Lindsay and a bylaw to repeal the official plan of the village of Fenelon Falls, as outlined in Appendix A and Appendix B to report Plan 2023-040, be brought forward for adoption, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute any documents required by the repeal of these documents and forward the repeals to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing for approval. All in favor? Thank you. That's passed unanimously. Moving on to bylaws. That the bylaws shown in section 5.1 of the agenda, namely items 5.1.1 and including 5.1.2, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, numbered, signed, and the corporate seal attached. Can I have a mover? Councillor Warren, seconder. Councillor McDonald. All in favor? And that's passed. I need a confirming bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the special council meeting of August 29th, 2023, that a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of a special council meeting held Tuesday, August 29th, 2023, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, numbered, signed, and the corporate seal attached. Mover and seconder, Councillor Ashmore, seconder, Councillor Perry. All in favor? And that's passed. And can I have a motion to adjourn? Councillor Smeaton and Councillor Joyce. All in favor? And that's passed. Thank you all. Thank everybody for coming this morning and participating in our public meeting. And we can now move forward and